Fatima wiped the sweat from her forehead as she cleaned another office in the gleaming Hadar Tower. The Dubai summer was brutal, but she had to keep working. Her daughter Sarah needed new school supplies, and the rent was due next week. The cleaning cart squeaked as she pushed it down the marble hallway, her reflection bouncing off the polished floors. "Almost done," she whispered to herself, heading to the last office of the day, the CEO's suite. She'd never seen him, this mysterious Mr. Hassan al-Rashid, who owned not just this building, but half of Dubai's skyline. The other cleaners said he was handsome but cold as ice, not that it mattered to her. Rich people lived in a different world. The office was huge, with windows stretching from floor to ceiling. Fatima started her usual routine, emptying trash bins, wiping surfaces, vacuuming. As she dusted the massive desk, her mother's necklace slipped out from under her uniform. The gold pendant caught the setting sun, making the Arabic inscription, "Shine." "What are you doing in my office?" The deep voice made her jump. She spun around to face a tall man in an expensive suit. His dark eyes were fixed on her necklace. "I'm sorry, sir, I'm just cleaning." Fatima quickly tucked the necklace away, but Mr. al-Rashid strode forward, his face pale. "That necklace. Where? Did you get it?" His voice was sharp, demanding. "It was my mother's," Fatima said, backing away. "She gave it to me before she died." "To your mother's name, what was it?" "Amira. Amira Rahman." Hassan al-Rashid grabbed the edge of his desk, looking like he'd seen a ghost. "Impossible," he whispered. "Amira died in the fire 25 years ago." Fatima's heart started pounding. "What are you talking about? What fire?" "The fire at the Rahman family compound in Abu Dhabi, my father's business partner's home." He stared at her. "I was there that night. My father had arranged my marriage to their daughter, to Amira. But the fire..." He shook his head. "Everyone died, the entire family." "No," Fatima said. "My mother escaped. She was pregnant with me. She moved to America where I was born. She never talked about her past, just gave me this necklace before cancer took her 5 years ago." Hassan sank into his chair, running his hands through his dark hair. "All these years, I thought..." He looked up at her. "That necklace was a gift from my family to Amira's to seal our engagement. I would recognize it anywhere." Fatima's legs felt weak. She gripped the cleaning cart for support. "Are you saying your mother was my intended bride, the woman I mourned for 25 years?" He stood up slowly. "Which means you..." "No," Fatima backed away. "This is crazy. I'm just a cleaning lady. I have a daughter to support. I don't need..." "A daughter?" Hassan's eyes widened. "You're married, divorced. Her father left us 3 years ago." Fatima lifted her chin. "We managed just fine on our own." Hassan walked to the window, staring at the Dubai skyline as the sun set. "All these years building my empire, and the true heir was cleaning my office." He turned back to her. "The Rahman fortune, your grandfather's companies, properties, investments, everything passed to your mother's estate. And now it belongs to you." Fatima shook her head. "I don't want any fortune. I just want to take care of my daughter." "At least let me help you understand your heritage," Hassan said softly. "Let me tell you about your mother's family, our family's history." Before Fatima could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from her daughter's school. Sarah had fallen during recess and needed to go to the hospital. Possible broken arm. I have to go," Fatima stammered. "My daughter..." "I'll drive you," Hassan said, already grabbing his keys. "We can talk more later." As they rushed to his waiting car, Fatima's mind spun. This morning she'd been a cleaning lady, worried about making rent. Now she was apparently an heiress, and Dubai's most eligible bachelor was insisting on driving her to the hospital. "I still don't trust this," she said as they sped through traffic. "It's too much like a fairy tale." Hassan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Life is stranger than fairy tales, Fatima, and I've waited 25 years to find Amira's family again, to make things right." "What do you mean, make things right?" His face darkened. "That fire wasn't an accident, and I think I finally know who was responsible." He glanced at her. "But first, let's make sure your daughter is okay. Then we have a lot to discuss. As they pulled up to the hospital, Fatima touched her mother's necklace. She had a feeling her simple life was about to become very complicated. But looking at Hassan's determined face, she wasn't sure that was entirely a bad thing. She just hoped her daughter was okay. Everything else, lost fortunes, family secrets, mysterious fires, could wait. But as she hurried into the emergency room with a billionaire at her heels, Fatima knew nothing would ever be the same again. Sarah sat on the hospital bed, her arm in a bright pink cast. She was trying not to cry, but her lower lip trembled. At 12 years old, she was trying to be brave, but the pain and fear had been too much. When she saw her mother rush in, the tears finally fell. "Mama." Fatima hugged her daughter carefully, kissing her forehead. "My brave girl, how are you feeling?" "It hurts," Sarah admitted, "but the doctor said I was very strong." Hassan stood in the doorway watching the scene. He couldn't help but notice how Sarah had her mother's eyes, the same eyes Amira had in the photographs he'd kept all these years. The girl looked up, noticing him for the first time. "Who's that, Mama?" Before Fatima could answer, a nurse came in with discharge papers. "Mrs. Johnson, we just need your signature and you can take Sarah home. The doctor prescribed pain medication, but the pharmacy here is closed. You'll need to get it from an all-night drugstore." Fatima's face fell slightly. She knew she didn't have enough cash for the medicine, and her credit card was already maxed out. She'd have to wait until payday next week. "I'll take care of it," Hassan said, stepping forward. He pulled out a black credit card. "And any other medical expenses?" "No, I couldn't," Fatima started to protest. "Please," Hassan said quietly. "Let me help for Amira's sake." Sarah looked between them, confused. "Mama, who is he and why did he mention Grandma Amira?" Fatima sighed. How could she explain something she barely understood herself? "This is Mr. Al-Rashid. He knew your grandmother a long time ago." "Hassan, please," he said, smiling at Sarah, "and your grandmother was very special to my family." While they waited for the prescription, Hassan called his driver to bring a more comfortable car. Sarah was fascinated by the fancy SUV that arrived, with its soft leather seats and TV screens in the headrests. "This is better than Mohammed's dad's car, and he's the richest kid in my class," Sarah exclaimed, then blushed. "Sorry, that was rude," Hassan laughed. "No, it's refreshing. Most people are too scared to be honest with me." As they drove to the pharmacy, Fatima noticed a black car following them. Hassan saw it too, his jaw tightening. "Abdul," he said to the driver, "take the long route and call security." "What's wrong?" Fatima asked, instinctively pulling Sarah closer. "Probably nothing," Hassan said, but his eyes were hard. "But after what happened to your mother, I'm not taking any chances." At the pharmacy, Hassan insisted on going in himself to get the medicine. Through the window, Fatima watched him talking on his phone while waiting in line. Sarah had dozed off, the exhaustion and pain medication making her sleepy. "He seems nice," Sarah mumbled, half asleep. "Like a prince from the stories Grandma Amira used to tell me." Fatima stroked her daughter's hair, remembering those stories. Her mother would tell tales of beautiful palaces, noble families, and tragic love stories. Had they not been stories at all, but memories? Hassan returned with the medicine and a stuffed camel that made Sarah smile despite her pain. As they drove to Fatima's apartment building, he was quiet, lost in thought. "That necklace," he finally said, "it has a secret. Did your mother ever show you?" Fatima touched the pendant. "A secret? There's a hidden compartment. Inside should be a key and a letter." Hassan glanced at her. A letter that could change everything. When they reached her building, Hassan insisted on helping them up to their apartment. Fatima was embarrassed by the small shabby place, but he didn't seem to notice. He was too busy scanning the hallway, still worried about the car that had followed them. Inside, Sarah fell asleep quickly in her room, cuddling the stuffed camel. Fatima stood in her tiny living room with Hassan, feeling overwhelmed. "Let me see the necklace," he said gently. With trembling fingers, Fatima unclasped it. Hassan turned it over, pressing, something that made the pendant pop open. Inside was a small key and a folded piece of paper, yellow with age. "After all these years," he whispered. Fatima unfolded the paper carefully. Her mother's handwriting filled the page. My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, you've finally met Hassan. I always knew he would find you someday. The key opens a safe deposit box at Emirates International Bank. Inside is the truth about the fire, about why I had to run, and about the man who tried to destroy both our families. The key also proves your identity. Only 2 were ever made, and Hassan has the other one. Trust him, my love. He was meant to be your father, in another life. And despite what tore us apart, I never stopped loving his family as my own. Be brave, be strong, and know that everything I did was to protect you. All my love, Mama. Fatima sat down hard on her worn couch, the letter shaking in her hands. Hassan knelt beside her. Tomorrow, he said, we'll go to the bank. Tonight, rest. You're safe. I have security watching the building. He hesitated. I lost your mother once. I won't lose you and Sarah too. After he left, Fatima checked on Sarah again, then sat in the dark living room holding the necklace. Outside, she could see a black SUV parked across the street, Hassan's security team. Her simple life of cleaning offices seemed like a dream. Now, she remembered her mother's last days in the hospital, how she'd made Fatima promise to always wear the necklace. It will protect you, she'd said. When the time comes, it will lead you home. Fatima hadn't understood then. She wasn't sure. She understood now. But as she finally went to bed, she knew tomorrow would bring answers, and probably more questions. In his penthouse across the city, Hassan stood at his window, looking at an old photograph. In it, a young Amira smiled at the camera, wearing that same necklace. Behind her stood his father and hers, looking proud, and beside them was the man Hassan now suspected had arranged the fire, the man who had almost succeeded in destroying both families. I'll protect them, Amira, he whispered to the photograph. I promise. But somewhere in Dubai's glittering nighttime streets, another man was making very different plans. In a luxurious office, he looked at surveillance photos of Fatima and Sarah at the hospital. 25 years ago, he'd thought he'd eliminated all threats to his power. Now he would have to finish what he'd started. The game was beginning again, and this time he wouldn't fail. Morning came too quickly. Fatima barely slept, her mind racing with questions about her mother's letter. Sarah was still sleeping peacefully when someone knocked on the door. Her heart jumped until she heard Hassan's voice. Fatima, the bank opens in an hour. She opened the door to find him holding coffee and a bag of fresh pastries. He'd changed into a different suit, but dark circles under his eyes suggested he hadn't slept much either. I thought you might be hungry, he said, stepping inside. How's Sarah? Still sleeping. The pain medicine makes her drowsy. Fatima took a sip of the coffee. It was perfect, exactly how she liked it. How did you know? I asked Maria from the cleaning staff. She says you always get coffee from the cart in the lobby. He smiled slightly. I pay attention to details. It's how I survived in business. A small groan came from Sarah's room. Mama? They found her trying to sit up, wincing at her cast. Her face lit up when she saw the pastries. Can I have one? Please? While Sarah ate, Hassan explained that she'd need to come with them to the bank. It's not safe to leave you here alone, he said. My security team reported suspicious activity during the night. Fatima's hands shook as she helped Sarah dress. Someone was watching them, following them. It felt like a nightmare. The drive to Emirates International Bank was tense. Hassan's security team surrounded their car in black SUVs. Sarah thought it was exciting, like being in a movie, but Fatima noticed how Hassan kept checking the mirrors. The bank manager himself met them. At a private entrance, Mr. Kumar was a small, nervous man who kept bowing to Hassan. Mr. Al-Rashid, what an honor. When you called this morning, the Rahman family vault, Hassan interrupted. We need access immediately. The vault was deep underground. As they walked through marble hallways, Sarah whispered, Mama, are we rich now? Shh, Fatima said, but Hassan heard and smiled. Your mother is the heir to one of Dubai's oldest fortunes, he told Sarah. Your grandfather, Abdul Rahman, was a brilliant businessman. He built an empire from nothing. Then why were we poor? Sarah asked with a child's direct honesty. Why did Mama have to clean offices? Hassan's face darkened. Because someone stole everything from your family. Someone who's still out there. The vault door was massive, all steel and electronic locks. Mr. Kumar used multiple keys and codes to open it. Miss Rahman, your key, please. Fatima's hands trembled as she handed over her mother's necklace. The small key fit perfectly into the final lock. Inside, the vault was huge, shelves lined with boxes stretched into shadows. But Hassan went straight to a large safe in the corner. He pulled out an identical necklace to Fatima's and used the key inside it. The safe opened with a hiss. Inside was a thick folder, an old iPad and a wooden box. Your mother left everything we need to prove what happened, Hassan said, opening the folder. Bank records, property deeds, and... He stopped, staring at a photograph. Fatima looked over his shoulder. The photo showed a younger version of her mother with Hassan's father and another man. They were signing papers, smiling. That's Omar Kadar, Hassan said, his voice hard. My father's closest friend and business partner. The man who arranged the fire that killed your grandparents. But why? Fatima asked. Because of this. Hassan held up a contract. Your grandfather and my father were merging their companies. The merger would have made Omar's company worthless. He couldn't compete with their combined power. So, he killed them? All of them? Fatima felt sick. He thought he did, but your mother escaped. Hassan touched the iPad, and she recorded everything. The screen came to life, showing a video. A much younger Amira appeared, looking scared but determined. If you're watching this, she said, I'm gone and my daughter has found her way home. Hassan, my love, I'm so sorry I couldn't tell you I survived. But Omar's men were everywhere. I heard them that night, talking about the fire before it started. I knew if I stayed, if I told anyone I was alive and pregnant, they would kill me and my baby. Tears ran down Fatima's face as she watched her mother's message. Sarah hugged her, with her good arm. The proof is all here, Amira continued. The money he stole, the fake documents, everything. So Omar thinks he destroyed all the evidence in the fire, but I managed to save copies. Hassan, protect my daughter. And Fatima, my darling girl, remember, you are a Rahman. You are stronger than you know. The video ended. Hassan pulled out his phone. I'm calling my lawyers. With this evidence, the vault door slammed shut. Outside, they heard Mr. Kumar scream, then a gunshot. Sarah buried her face in Fatima's chest, crying. Hassan moved quickly, pushing them behind a row of safety deposit boxes. Stay down, he whispered, pulling out his phone again. No signal. The vault is shielded, he explained. No calls can get in or out. Heavy footsteps approached. A familiar voice called out, Hassan? Let's talk about this like businessmen. Hassan's face went white. Omar. Fatima held Sarah tighter as Omar Kadar's voice echoed through the vault. You should have left the past buried, Hassan. Now I'll have to bury you too. All of you. He can't. Get in, Hassan whispered to Fatima. The vault needs 3 keys, the manager's, yours and mine. Oh, but I can, Omar called. Poor Mr. Kumar was very cooperative before he died. And now I have his keys. They heard the first lock click open. Think, Hassan muttered, looking around desperately. His eyes fell on the wooden box they hadn't opened yet. Inside was an old service panel. The vault has an emergency exit, he said. Your grandfather showed me once years ago, but it only opens from the inside. Another lock clicked. Sarah, Hassan said gently, can you fit through? That panel? The tunnel leads to the parking garage. My security team will be there. Sarah nodded bravely, wiping her tears. I'll hold them off, Hassan said, pulling Fatima close. Get Sarah out, then come back for the evidence. We can't let Omar destroy it again. The final lock started to turn. Hassan, Fatima whispered, I can't lose you too. He kissed her forehead quickly. You won't, I promise. Now go. As the vault door began to open, Hassan stood ready to face his father's killer. Behind him, Fatima helped Sarah into the secret tunnel, praying she was making the right choice. The game wasn't over. But now they had a chance to win. If they could just survive the next few minutes. The vault door opened with a heavy groan. Omar Khadr walked in, flanked by two men with guns. His expensive suit couldn't hide how time had aged him. His hair was grey now, his face lined with years of guilt and greed. But his eyes were still cold and calculating as they fixed on Hassan. "You always were too sentimental," Omar said, looking around the vault. "Just like your father. He couldn't see that business is business, nothing personal." "Nothing personal?" Hassan's voice shook with rage. "You killed my father. You killed Amira's entire family." Omar shrugged. "They would have destroyed everything I built. I couldn't let that happen." His eyes narrowed. "Where is she? The cleaning woman? Amira's daughter?" "Gone," Hassan said. "Far away by now." Omar laughed. "No, one leaves this bank today. My men have the building surrounded." He gestured to one of his guards. "Search the vault. Find them." Meanwhile, in the dark maintenance tunnel, Fatima helped Sarah crawl through the narrow space. Her daughter was being so brave, not making a sound despite the pain in her broken arm. "Just a little further," Fatima whispered. "Remember what Hassan said, his security team will be waiting." They reached a junction where the tunnel split in 3 directions. Sarah looked up at her mother, scared and confused. "Which way?" Fatima closed her eyes, thinking. She'd cleaned this bank for months. She knew the building's layout. The parking garage was east of the vault. "This way," she said, pointing right. "Stay close to me." Back in the vault, Omar's men were searching methodically, getting closer to the service panel. Hassan tried to distract them. "You won't get away with this again," he said to Omar. "Too many people know the truth now." "Really?" Omar pulled out his phone, showing Hassan a news alert. "Right now, fire at Hadar Tower destroys CEO office, all records lost." He smiled. "Amazing how history repeats itself." Hassan's heart sank. All his copies of the evidence gone. Everything now depended on what was in this vault. In the tunnel, Fatima and Sarah finally saw light ahead. They emerged into a dim parking garage, but something was wrong. It was too quiet. Where was Hassan's security team? A car engine started nearby. Fatima pulled Sarah behind a concrete pillar just as headlights swept past them. "Well, well," a woman's voice said. "Look what we found." An elegant woman in designer clothes stepped out of the car. Fatima recognized her from society magazines. "Monica Khadr, Omar's wife." "Mrs. Khadr," Fatima said, pushing Sarah further behind her. "Please, my daughter is hurt. Let us go." "I'm afraid I can't do that," Monica said, pulling out a small gun. "You see, I've spent 25 years enjoying your family's fortune. I'm not about to let some cleaning lady take it all away." In the vault, Hassan was stalling for time, hoping Fatima and Sarah had made it to safety. "You know what I don't understand, Omar?" he said. "The merger would have made you rich too. My father and Abdul Rahman wanted to include your company as her junior partner," Omar spat. "I would have been answering to them, taking their orders. I built my company from nothing, just like they did. I deserved equal power. So you killed them all? Even the children who were in the house that night?" Omar's face showed a flicker of something. Regret? That wasn't supposed to happen. The fire was meant to destroy the merger documents, make it look like an accident. But things got out of control, and now, Hassan asked, more accidents, more fires? "Now I finish what I started." Omar nodded to his men. "Kill him, then find the girl and her mother." But before the men could raise their guns, the lights went out. In the parking garage, Monica was marching Fatima and Sarah toward an waiting SUV when the same darkness fell. "Emergency generators should kick in," Monica said, but they didn't. Fatima acted fast. In the darkness, she grabbed Sarah and ran, using her knowledge of the garage layout from her cleaning days. Monica's shot went wild in the dark. "Mama," Sarah whispered as they hid behind cars. "I'm scared." "I know, baby. But we have to be brave like Grandma Amira." Fatima held her daughter close. "And we have to help Hassan." Security alarms began blaring throughout the building. In the vault, Hassan used the confusion to tackle one of Omar's men. They fought in the dim emergency lights rolling on the floor. Omar grabbed the evidence folder, stuffing it into his jacket. "Burn it all," he shouted to his other guard, "like before." But as the guard pulled out a lighter, a new voice spoke from the service tunnel. Not this time. Fatima stood there holding Omar's wife Monica at gunpoint, with Monica's own gun. "Drop the lighter," she ordered. "Now!" The guard looked at Omar, who nodded slightly, but instead of dropping it, he flicked it on and reached for the papers. Shot rang out. The guard fell, clutching his shoulder. Behind Fatima, Sarah had managed to hit the emergency alarm with her good arm, and now Hassan's security team poured in through the main vault door. "You're under arrest," the head of security said to Omar, "for murder, fraud, and attempted murder." Omar looked around wildly, then pulled out another lighter. "If I burn the evidence, it's still your word against mine." "No," Hassan said, standing up from the unconscious guard. "It's not." He held up his phone. "I've been recording everything." "You said? About the fire, about killing my father, all of it." Monica started crying. "Omar, you fool! You promised me it would never come out. Take them away," Hassan ordered his men. "All of them." As Omar and Monica were led out in handcuffs, Fatima hugged Sarah tight. "My brave, brave girl." Hassan joined them, wrapping his arms around them both. "Are you okay? When I heard the shot upstairs—" "We're fine," Fatima said. "But how did you know we'd come back?" Hassan smiled. "Because you're your mother's daughter, and Amira never ran from a fight." Later, as police and ambulances surrounded the bank, Hassan sat with Fatima and Sarah in his office across town. The evidence was safe, Omar and his conspirators were in jail, and the truth was finally coming out. "So what happens now?" Sarah asked, yawning. The excitement and pain medicine were making her sleepy again. Hassan looked at Fatima. "That depends on your mother." "What do you mean?" "The Rahman fortune is yours now. The companies, the properties, everything." He paused. "Including this building." Fatima looked around the huge office where just yesterday she'd been cleaning. "I don't know anything about running companies." "I'll teach you," Hassan said softly. "If you'll let me." Their eyes met, and something passed between them, something that had been growing since that first moment he saw her necklace. "For now," Fatima said, "I just want to take Sarah home and rest. Tomorrow we can talk about fortunes and companies." Hassan nodded. "Of course. But maybe dinner first, all three of us." Sarah perked up. "Can we get pizza?" They all laughed, the tension of the day finally breaking. Looking at them, Fatima touched her mother's necklace. For the first time, it felt not like a memento of loss, but a key to a new future. Outside the office windows, Dubai glittered in the evening light. Somewhere out there was the home her mother had fled, the life she should have had. But looking at Hassan and Sarah, Fatima realized maybe she hadn't lost that life after all. Maybe she'd finally found it. 2 weeks had passed since the dramatic showdown at the bank. Fatima stood in front of her bathroom mirror, hardly recognizing herself. The designer dress Hassan had sent over fit perfectly, but she still felt strange wearing something that cost more than 6 months of her old salary. "Mama!" Sarah called from the living room. "The car is here." They weren't living in their small apartment anymore. Hassan had insisted they move into a secure penthouse until Omar's trial. The view of Dubai was breathtaking, but sometimes Fatima missed her simple life. At least Sarah was happy. Her new school had a great art program, and her broken arm was healing well. The doorbell rang. Hassan stood there in a sharp suit, holding a small gift box. "Ready for your first board meeting?" Sarah bounced excitedly. "Mum's going to be amazing. She's been studying all week." It was true. Fatima had spent every free moment learning about her grandfather's companies, now merged with Hassan's empire. The stack of financial reports by her bed grew taller every day. "First," Hassan said, "I have something for you." He opened the box, revealing a beautiful watch. "It was your mother's. We found it in another safety deposit box yesterday." Fatima's eyes filled with tears as she put it on. She always said she lost it in the move to America. She must have left it behind that night, planning to come back for it. Hassan's voice was soft, like she left so many things behind. The drive to Rahman Tower, now Rahman Al Rashid Tower, was quiet. Fatima's stomach was in knots. Today she would face the board of directors, many of whom had worked with her grandfather. What if they don't accept me? She whispered. Hassan took her hand. They'll see what I see, Amira's strength in you. The boardroom was intimidating, all dark wood and leather chairs. Older men in expensive suits stared as Fatima entered, but one face stood out, an elderly woman who gasped when she saw her. My God, the woman said, standing shakily. You look just like her. Fatima, this is Mrs. Chen, Hassan said. She was your grandfather's secretary for 30 years. Mrs. Chen hugged Fatima, crying softly. I knew something wasn't right about that fire. Abdul would never have left such a mess in his office. He was too careful. But when they found the body, Mrs. Chen was the one who helped me start investigating, Hassan explained. She kept copies of some documents Omar thought he'd destroyed. As the meeting began, Fatima felt stronger knowing she had allies in the room. She presented her ideas for modernizing the company, including a foundation in her mother's name to help women entrepreneurs. My grandfather built this company to help people, she said firmly. To create jobs and opportunities, I want to continue that legacy. Most board members nodded approvingly, but one older man frowned. Miss Rahman, with all due respect, running a multinational corporation is not like cleaning offices. You're right, Mr. Phillips, Fatima replied calmly. When you clean, you see everything, every detail, every problem, every chance to make things better. You learn to work hard, to be thorough, and to take pride in what you do. My grandfather started as a pearl diver. I started as a cleaner. We both know the value of honest work. The room was silent for a moment. Then Mrs. Chen started clapping. Others joined in, and even Mr. Phillips gave a grudging nod. After the meeting, Hassan found Fatima in her new office, her grandfather's old office. She was looking at an old photo on the wall, showing Abdul Rahman standing on a beach, young and proud. That was taken the day he bought his first boat, Hassan said. My father used to tell me the story. Everyone said he was crazy to think a pearl diver could build an empire, and now his granddaughter is trying to run it. Fatima sighed. Hassan, there's something I need to tell you. But before she could continue, her phone rang. It was Sarah's school. Mrs. Rahman, there's been an incident. A man tried to pick Sarah up, claiming to be her uncle. When we refused, he became aggressive. Security stopped him, but Fatima's blood ran cold. Is she okay? She's fine, but scared. The man got away before police arrived. Hassan was already calling his security team. I'm sending men to the school now, don't worry, she's safe. But Fatima was already grabbing her purse. Take me to her, now. At the school, Sarah ran into her mother's arms. He said he knew Grandma Amira, she sobbed. He said he was family. Hassan studied the security footage with the police. The man was well-dressed, Middle Eastern, around 60 years old. Something about him seemed familiar. Back at the penthouse, after Sarah had finally fallen asleep, Fatima paced nervously. Could it be one of Omar's men? No, Hassan said slowly. The way he moved, his accent according to the witnesses. Fatima, I think it might be your uncle. What? My mother never mentioned having a brother. Because Karim Rahman supposedly died in the fire too. Hassan pulled up an old photo on his tablet. But if Amira survived, the man in the photo was younger but unmistakable, the same man who tried to take Sarah. Why now? Fatima asked. After all these years? The news about Omar's arrest is everywhere. The Rahman fortune being restored. Hassan ran his hands through his hair. If Karim is alive, he might think he has more right to it than you do. Fatima sat down hard. Will this never end? Every time I think we're safe, there's something new. Hassan knelt beside her chair. Hey, look at me. You're not alone anymore. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. She looked into his eyes, seeing the same strength and kindness that had drawn her mother to his family so many years ago. Without thinking, she leaned forward and kissed him softly. For a moment, the world stood still. Then from the doorway came a small voice. Finally, they broke apart to find Sarah watching them, grinning despite her puffy eyes. Does this mean we're going to be a real family now? Hassan laughed. Come here, both of you. As he held them close, Fatima felt tears on her cheeks, but for the first time in weeks they were happy tears. Whatever her uncle wanted, whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew they would face them together. But somewhere in Dubai, Karim Rahman was making plans of his own. In a luxurious hotel room, he looked at old photos spread across the bed, photos of his sister Amira, of the night of the fire, and of Omar Khadr making a deal that had changed everything. "Soon, little sister," he whispered. "Soon everyone will know the real truth about that night." The morning newspaper headlines screamed across Dubai. Rahman hair challenged, long-lost uncle claims fortune. Fatima dropped the paper on her desk, her hands shaking. Next to the article was a photo of Karim Rahman standing in front of the Rahman Al Rashid Tower, looking confident and polished. "He's already talking to the press," Hassan said, walking into her office. "Claiming he has proof that Amira gave up her rights to the fortune before she died." "That's impossible," Fatima said. "My mother would never—" "Mrs. Rahman?" Her assistant poked her head in. "There's a delivery for you." A large manila envelope sat on her desk. Inside was an old document, yellow with age, and a note in elegant handwriting. "Meet me at the Al Rashid stables tonight. Come alone, or I release this to the media. Uncle Karim." The document made Fatima's heart stop. It was a letter, written in her mother's hand, dated just before the fire. "I, Amira Rahman, hereby renounce all claims to the Rahman fortune and companies for myself and my descendants." "It's a fake," Hassan said immediately. "It has to be." But Fatima wasn't so sure. The handwriting matched her mother's perfectly, down to the unique way she crossed her T's. "I have to meet him," she said. "Maybe he knows something about my mother." "We don't." "It's too dangerous," Hassan argued. "Let me send security." "No." Fatima stood up. "He's my uncle, my mother's brother. I need to know the truth." That evening, after making sure Sarah was safe with Mrs. Chen, Fatima drove to the Al Rashid family stables outside Dubai. The place was beautiful, full of prize Arabian horses. Hassan had told her how his family and hers had bonded over their love of horses. Karim was waiting in the main stable, looking at an old photo on the wall. It showed two young couples on horseback, Hassan's parents and Fatima's grandparents. "You have her eyes," he said without turning around. Amira's eyes always gave away what she was feeling. "Why did you try to take Sarah from school?" Fatima demanded. "I needed to get your attention." He finally faced her. "And to see my great niece for myself." She looked so much like Amira at that age. "The letter," Fatima said. "Is it real?" "Oh yes." Karim pulled out another envelope. "And there's more. So much more that Omar Khadr doesn't want found." "What do you mean?" "The fire wasn't just about the merger." Karim's eyes were haunted. "It was about what your mother discovered, about who Omar really was, and what he'd done to get his fortune." He handed her the envelope. Inside were photographs, Omar meeting with dangerous-looking men, documents showing massive money transfers to offshore accounts. "Omar wasn't just threatened by the merger," Karim explained. "He was running a massive money laundering operation. Your mother found out. She was going to expose him, but the letter was forced. Omar threatened to kill everyone she loved if she didn't sign it. But Amira was smart. She signed, then gathered evidence against him anyway." Karim's voice broke. "I was supposed to help her expose him that night, but Omar found out. He set the fire early before we could act." "You survived too," Fatima whispered. "Why didn't you find us?" "Because I thought I'd failed her." "Failed everyone." Karim sat heavily on a hay bale. "I spent years tracking Omar's operation, gathering evidence. When I saw the news about you, about the fortune being restored, I knew it was time. Footsteps behind them made them turn." Hassan stood there looking furious. "You followed me?" Fatima asked. "Of course I did. I won't lose you like I lost Amira." He glared at Karim. "Why should we believe you?" "Because," a new voice said, "he's telling the truth." Mrs. Chen stepped out of the shadows holding a laptop. "Show them, Karim." The laptop contained emails, bank records, surveillance photos, 25 years of evidence against Omar Khadr. "Mrs. Chen and I never stopped investigating," Karim explained. "She was my inside source all these years. Omar's not just facing murder charges now, Mrs. Chen said. With this evidence, his entire criminal empire will fall. Hassan studied the documents carefully. This is why he was so desperate to destroy everything in the vault, and why he tried to burn your office, Karim added. He knew Amira might have left copies of the evidence there. Fatima sat down, overwhelmed. All these years, my mother was trying to protect everyone. She succeeded, Karim said gently. She protected you, and now you're here to finish what she started. A soft neighing made them all look up. In a nearby stall, a beautiful white mare was watching them. That's Star, Hassan said softly. Born the night of the fire. We could never sell her, even though every buyer wanted her. She was meant to be a wedding gift for your mother. Fatima walked over to the horse, who nuzzled her hand gently. She's beautiful. She's yours now, Hassan said. Like everything else that was meant for Amira. Karim cleared his throat. About the fortune, I don't want it. I just wanted you to know the truth. To know that your mother was a hero. Stay, Fatima said suddenly. Help us take Omar down completely. Sarah should know her great-uncle. Later that night, as they drove home, Hassan was quiet. What are you thinking? Fatima asked. That Amira would be proud. You've brought both families back together. He took her hand. And maybe we can finally have the wedding that was meant to happen 25 years ago. Fatima smiled, touching her mother's necklace. First, we have to make sure Omar pays for everything he did. We will, Hassan promised. Together. At home, they found Sarah still awake, drawing pictures with Mrs. Chen. The drawing showed a family, Fatima, Hassan, Sarah, and now Karim too, in front of a big house with horses. Is this okay? Sarah asked anxiously. That I put Uncle Karim in the picture? Fatima hugged her daughter tight. It's perfect. But in his prison cell, Omar Khadr was not finished. He had one last card to play, a truth so explosive it could tear both families apart again. As he wrote a letter to his lawyer, he smiled. Soon they would all learn what really happened the night of the fire, and why Amira had really run away. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning again. Omar's letter arrived on a sunny Tuesday morning. Hassan's lawyer brought it directly to the penthouse where Fatima, Hassan, and Karim were having breakfast with Sarah before school. He wants to make a deal, the lawyer, David Thompson, explained. He'll plead guilty to everything, the fire, the fraud, the money laundering. In exchange, he wants one private meeting with all of you. It's a trap, Karim said immediately. He's in maximum security, David replied. He can't hurt anyone, but he claims to have information about the night of the fire that will change everything. Fatima watched Sarah finish her breakfast, innocent and happy. What do you think he knows? Whatever it is, Hassan said, we should hear it. End this once and for all. The prison visiting room was cold and grey. Omar sat at a metal table, wearing an orange jumpsuit that made him look older, smaller somehow, but his eyes were still sharp as they watched the group enter. Ah, the whole family, he said softly. How touching. Say what you have to say, Hassan snapped. Very well. Omar folded his hands on the table. You all think you know what happened that night, but you don't know everything. Do you want to tell them, Karim, or should I? Karim's face went white. What are you talking about? About who really started the fire? Omar smiled coldly. It wasn't my men. It was you, Karim. The room went silent. Fatima stared at her uncle in shock. He's lying, Karim whispered. I would never show them the proof, Omar said to his lawyer, who pulled out an old security video. From my office, the night of the fire. The grainy footage showed Karim entering Omar's office late at night, carrying something. As they watched, he began spreading liquid around the room. You didn't know I had cameras, Omar said. No one did back then. Very new technology. I can explain, Karim said desperately. Amira and we were trying to destroy the evidence of Omar's crimes. The fire was supposed to be small, controlled, just his office. But it spread, Omar continued. The sprinkler system mysteriously failed. The fire doors were locked, almost like someone wanted it to spread. Hassan grabbed Karim's shirt. You killed my parents, your own parents. No, Karim was crying now. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. Omar, he must have. Doan must have tampered with the safety systems. Prove it, Omar challenged. You can't, can you? Just like you can't prove I had anything to do with the fire. The only evidence against me is circumstantial. But this video? This is very real. Fatima felt sick. Did my mother know? Is that... Why, she really ran, Amira found out later, Karim admitted. She called me in America desperate, said she was pregnant, scared. I told her to hide, to change her name. I thought I was protecting her. You were protecting yourself, Hassan snarled. Not exactly, Omar interrupted. You see, Amira was protecting someone else entirely. Would you like to know who? Fatima's heart was pounding. What do you mean? Your mother wasn't just pregnant when she fled, Omar said. She was pregnant with twins. The room spun. Fatima grabbed the table for support. No, that's not possible. Oh, but it is. Omar pulled out an old hospital record. She gave birth to twins in Boston. 1 girl and 1 boy. But the boy was sick, needed expensive treatment. Treatment she couldn't afford. Stop, Fatima whispered. So she made a deal. With me. Omar's eyes glittered. I would pay for the boy's treatment. Give him a good life. In exchange, she would disappear with you, never claim the Rahman fortune. You're lying, Hassan said, but his voice shook. Am I? Omar turned to his lawyer, who pulled out more papers. Birth certificates, adoption records, and DNA tests done recently. Would you like to meet your twin brother, Fatima? I believe you already have. The door opened. A young man walked in, the same age as Fatima, with her eyes and her mother's smile. Hello, sister, said David Thompson, Omar's lawyer. I've been watching over you since you came back to Dubai, just like I promised Mom I would. Fatima stared at the man who looked so much like her, who had been right there all along. She remembered how David had handled all the legal work after the bank incident, how he'd seemed to know exactly what to do. You knew? She whispered. All this time? Mom made me promise not to tell you until the time was right. David's eyes were full of tears. She wanted you to have a normal life away from all this. But when you came back when Omar was arrested, this changes everything, Omar said smugly. The Rahman fortune should be split between the twins, and David here has some very different ideas about how to run the company. Hassan looked between Fatima and David, seeing the unmistakable resemblance. Why are you working for him? He asked David. After everything he did? Because Omar protected me, David said. Gave me opportunities, while you, Uncle Karim, started the fire that almost killed us all. I was trying to help, Karim protested weakly. By burning down our home? David's voice was bitter. Mom never forgave you. That's the real reason she ran, not because of Omar, but because of you. Fatima felt the world shifting under her feet. Everything she thought she knew about her mother, about that night, was changing. What do you want? She asked Omar. I said, a deal. I confess to everything, go to prison. But the company splits between you and David and Karim. Omar smiled. Karim confesses to starting the fire. You manipulative bastard, Hassan growled. Think about it, Omar said. You have 24 hours. Oh, and Fatima? Ask your daughter how she likes having David as her uncle. He's been visiting her at school, you know. Those art supplies she loves, all from him. As they left the prison, Fatima felt numb. David tried to touch her arm, but she pulled away. I'm sorry, he said. I wanted to tell you so many times. Stay away from my daughter, she snapped. But that night, as she watched Sarah sleeping, Fatima looked at her daughter's drawings on the wall. There, in careful crayon strokes, was a man she now recognized, David, drawn as part of their family. What do we do? She asked Hassan, who held her as she cried. We find the truth, he said, the whole truth about everything. In his cell, Omar smiled at the chaos he'd created. Sometimes the truth was the best weapon of all. And he had saved his biggest truth for last. The next morning, Fatima sat in her mother's old garden, now restored to its former beauty. The roses Amira had loved so much were blooming again, their scent filling the air. She held an old diary, In her hands, her mother's diary found hidden in a wall safe behind a loose brick. "I thought I might find you here," David said, walking up the garden path. "Mom always came here to think too." "How would you know?" Fatima asked bitterly. "Because she told me." All those years, she kept in touch. David sat on the bench beside her. Every birthday, every Christmas, she'd call. She made Omar promise that was part of the deal. Fatima opened the diary with trembling hands. The latest entry was dated just before her mother died. "My dearest children, by now you must know the truth about each other. Forgive me for keeping you apart. Every day it broke my heart, but I thought I was protecting you both. The night of the fire changed everything, not just because of Karim's terrible mistake, but because of what I discovered in Omar's office. That same night, I had gone there looking for evidence of his crimes. Instead, I found something worse, proof that he had been working with terrorist organizations, using our family's shipping business to smuggle weapons. That's why he was so desperate to stop the merger. An audit would have exposed everything," told Karim, and he decided to destroy the evidence before Omar could hide it. He thought a small fire would wipe out the paper trail. He didn't know that Omar had removed all the evidence already and rigged the building's safety systems to fail. "When I realized I was pregnant with twins, I knew I couldn't keep you both safe. Omar found me in Boston. He offered me a deal. One child would stay with him, protected by his power and money. The other would disappear with me. He would keep David safe from the terrorists he worked with, and I would keep Fatima safe from him. But there's something else you need to know. Something about Hassan's father, and why the marriage was arranged. Something that changes everything." The rest of the page was torn out. "Did you know about the weapons?" Fatima asked David. "Not until recently. When I found out, I started gathering evidence against Omar myself." He pulled out a flash drive. "Everything's here. That's the real reason I stayed close to him, to bring him down from the inside." Fatima stared at her twin brother, seeing him clearly for the first time. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because Omar was watching. He threatened Sarah." David's eyes filled with tears. "My niece. I couldn't risk her safety. But now..." "What?" "Now we have everything we need to destroy him. The weapons evidence, the proof he sabotaged the fire safety systems." David touched the diary. "And whatever secret Mom knew about Hassan's father. Hassan found them in the garden an hour later, heads bent together over the diary, looking so alike it made his heart ache." Karim confessed, he said quietly, "to starting the fire. He's turning himself in now." "No," Fatima stood up. "We can prove Omar was behind it all." "Can we?" Hassan looked tired. "The video shows Karim starting the fire. Omar's lawyers will say everything else is circumstantial." "Show him," Fatima told David. As Hassan watched the evidence David had gathered, his face changed. "This is what we needed. But why help us now? You're Omar's lawyer." "I'm my sister's brother first," David said simply. "And Sarah's uncle. Family is everything. That's what Mom always said." Fatima touched her mother's necklace, remembering something. "The key in my necklace." "David, do you have one too?" He pulled out a chain from under his shirt, identical to hers. "Mom said they're a matching set, but I never knew what they opened." Hassan's eyes widened. "The basement vault, in the old Rahman house. It needed 2 keys to open. Your grandfather was paranoid about security. The old Rahman mansion had been rebuilt after the fire, but the original vault remained." As they descended the stairs, Fatima felt like she was walking into history. The vault door was hidden behind wood paneling. 2 small keyholes gleamed in the dim light. "Together?" David asked. Fatima nodded. They inserted their keys and turned them simultaneously. The vault opened with a hiss. Inside, they found more photos, documents, and a letter in a sealed envelope addressed to Hassan. "It's from my father," Hassan whispered, reading quickly. His face went pale. "No, this can't be..." "What is it?" Fatima asked. "My father. He was working with Omar. They were both involved in the weapons smuggling." Hassan's hands shook. "But when he found out the weapons were going to terrorists, he was going to expose everything. That's why Omar..." "Killed him," David finished. And our grandparents, and tried to kill Mum. There's more, Hassan said. The arranged marriage, as it wasn't just about merging the companies. My father and your grandfather were gathering evidence against Omar. The marriage would have joined the families officially, making it easier to work together. And now? Fatima asked softly. Does this change things between us? Hassan pulled her close. The only thing that's changed is that we finally know the whole truth, and that your family just got bigger. Sarah's voice called down the stairs. Mum! Uncle David! Are you down there? They found her in the hallway with Mrs. Chen, who was holding a stack of papers. Look what I found in the old records room, Mrs. Chen said. The original merger documents and, she smiled, the wedding plans, everything Amira and Hassan's mother designed together. Sarah picked up a photo of two happy young couples, her grandparents, full of dreams and plans that had been destroyed by greed and violence. Can we still have a wedding, she asked hopefully, with Uncle David giving Mum away? Fatima looked at her brother, who was crying openly now, at Hassan, who held her hand like he'd never let go, at her daughter, who had drawn their broken family back together with her innocent love. Yes, she said, we can have everything we were meant to have. But in his prison cell, Omar read the morning paper with a cold smile. The headline announced Karim's confession to starting the fire. Everything was falling into place. Just one more secret, he whispered. One more truth, to tear them apart. He picked up his pen and began to write one final letter, a letter that would reveal the biggest secret of all. The wedding plans were in full swing. The garden where Fatima had found her mother's diary was transformed with thousands of white roses. Sarah twirled in her flower girl dress, her cast now decorated with family signatures. Even David had signed it, drawing a little heart that made her giggle. But Omar's final letter arrived 3 days before the wedding. The prison guard delivered it to David first, as Omar's lawyer. He read it alone in his office, his face growing paler with each word. Then he called Fatima. We need to talk, he said, all of us, including Hassan. They met in Fatima's office as the sun set over Dubai. David's hands shook as he held the letter. Omar's last secret, he said. It's about Hassan's father and our mother. Hassan sat forward. What about them? They were in love, David said quietly. Before either of them were married, they had an affair and a child. The room went silent. Fatima felt her heart stop. No, Hassan whispered. David continued reading. The child was given up for adoption. But Omar knew. He'd kept track of the baby all these years. A boy, adopted by an American couple. Who? Fatima asked, though she already knew the answer. Me, David said. I'm not your twin, Fatima. I'm Hassan's half-brother. Omar's DNA test wasn't comparing me to you. It was comparing me to Hassan. Fatima grabbed the letter, reading frantically. It was all there. Hospital records, adoption papers, DNA results. Her mother hadn't given birth to twins. She'd had one baby, Fatima. The other baby, born 2 months earlier, was David. That's why Omar took such an interest in me, David said bitterly. Not to protect me, but to use me against Hassan someday. Hassan stood up, pacing. My father and Amira, before she married. Your father? The arranged marriage, Fatima realized. It wasn't just about merging companies or fighting Omar. Your father was trying to be close to my mother again. And Omar knew everything, David added. He used it to control them all, threatened to expose the affair, to reveal my existence. Hassan sank back into his chair. That's why he was so confident my father wouldn't expose the weapons smuggling. He was blackmailing him. Fatima touched her necklace, the one that matched David's. But why did my mother give you a key too? Because she loved me anyway, David said softly. Omar made her part of the deal. She could have contact with me as long as she stayed away from Dubai. She wasn't just calling to check on me. She was trying to protect her first love's son. The door opened and Sarah came in, still wearing her flower girl dress from the fitting. Why is everyone so sad? She asked. Is it about the wedding? Fatima hugged her daughter. No, sweetheart. We just learned some surprising news about our family. Is Uncle David not really my uncle? "I'll always be your uncle," David said quickly. "Just in a different way than we thought." Sarah considered this. "So he's going to be my step-uncle instead. When Mom marries Hassan?" Hassan looked at Fatima, pain in his eyes. "Maybe we should postpone the wedding until we figure all this out." "No," Sarah stamped her foot. "You love each other. Who cares about what happened 1,000,000 years ago?" Out of the mouths of babes, Fatima thought. She looked at Hassan, the man she loved, who had stood by her through everything. At David, not her twin, but still family in a different way. Both of them bound together by her mother's love, by choices made long ago. "Sarah's right," she said. "The past is past. Omar tried to use it to tear us apart, but he failed. Love isn't just about blood, it's about choice. And I choose this family, complicated as it is." Hassan took her hand. "Are you sure?" "More sure than ever." She smiled at David. "Will you still give me away?" David wiped his eyes. "Try to stop me." Sarah hugged them all, somehow understanding that something important had just happened. "Can we have extra cake at the wedding to celebrate?" They all laughed, the tension breaking. Outside the sun had set, and Dubai's lights sparkled like stars. In his prison cell, Omar waited for the chaos his final letter would cause. But he had underestimated the power of love, the kind that creates families not through blood, but through choice. Later that night, Fatima found one last page of her mother's diary, stuck between the pages. "Love is stronger than hate, stronger than fear, stronger than the past. I learned this when I fell in love with Hassan's father, when I had to give up our son, when I found love again with Fatima's father. Every choice I made was guided by love, even the painful ones. Remember this, my children. All of you. Love is what makes a family, not blood, not money, not power, just love." The wedding was 3 days away. Omar's final secret was revealed. But instead of destroying them, it had only made them stronger. Because in the end, love was stronger than any secret, any lie, any pain. And in a garden full of white roses, a new family would be born. One created not by blood or birth, but by the choices of their hearts. The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful. In the bridal room of the Rahman mansion, Fatima stood in her mother's restored wedding dress, touching the delicate lace that Mrs. Chen had carefully preserved all these years. "You look just like her," Mrs. Chen said, adjusting the veil. "Amira would be so proud." Sarah bounced in, her flower girl dress swishing. Her cast was off just in time for the wedding, though she insisted on keeping it as a memento. "Mom, you have to come quick. Uncle David found something in the garden." In the rose garden, David stood holding an old metal box he'd unearthed while checking the flower arrangements. Soil stained his suit, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Look at the inscription," he said. The box had 2 familiar keyholes and words etched in Arabic, "For my children on the day love triumphs." Fatima and David exchanged looks, then used their necklace keys together one last time. Inside was a videotape and 2 envelopes, one marked for the wedding day and one marked for Omar. The video showed their mother, filmed shortly before her death. She looked thin but determined. "My darlings," she said, "if you're watching this, then love has won. The truth about David, about Hassan's father, about everything, it's all out now. But there's one last truth Omar doesn't know." She held up a document. "Proof that Omar was working with terrorists since the beginning. Proof that he planned the fire, disabled the safety systems, everything. I hid copies everywhere. But this one I saved for today, because today isn't just about a wedding, it's about justice." David opened the envelope marked for Omar. Inside was everything they needed to ensure he would never leave prison. Proof that would interest not just the police, but international authorities. "Give it to him," Amira said in the video. "Let him know that love won, that all his secrets and lies couldn't destroy what we built." She smiled. "And now, my loves, open the other envelope. It's time for a wedding." The second envelope contained 2 letters. One was from Hassan's father, written to Amira before her arranged marriage. "My dearest Amira, our love gave us David, and though we couldn't raise him together, know that my heart will always hold you both. But now you must find happiness with Abdul Rahman, as I must with my own arranged marriage. Perhaps our children, all our children, will someday understand that love takes many forms, and all of them are precious. The second letter was from Amira herself. My beloved daughter, today you marry Hassan, uniting our families as was always meant to be. Not because of arrangements or business, but because of love. Real love, chosen love. The kind that survives secrets and lies and years apart. David, my first child of love, you've grown into a man any mother would be proud of. Watch over your sister and brother. Help them build the future we dreamed of. Hassan, son of my first. Love, take care of my Fatima. Love her as your father loved me, completely, honestly, eternally. And Sarah, my precious granddaughter, keep drawing your beautiful pictures. Keep believing in love and happy endings. You brought this family together. With your innocent heart. The roses are blooming again in our garden. Love blooms too, again and again, no matter what tries to destroy it. Today, surrounded by these flowers, you'll make new promises, start new stories. Omar thought he could use the past to destroy the future. But love is stronger than hate, stronger than fear, stronger than the past. I love you all, my beautiful children. Be happy, be brave, be together. All my love, Mama Amira. Fatima and David held each other, crying. Hassan found them there, stopping short when he saw their tears. Should I be worried? He asked. Fatima handed him the letters. As he read, his own eyes filled with tears. Your mother, he whispered. Knew everything, David finished. And loved us anyway. All of us. Sarah tugged at Fatima's dress. Mama, it's time, everyone's waiting. The garden was filled with their dearest friends and family. Mrs. Chen sat in the front row, holding the metal box with its precious contents. Karim, released on bail pending a new investigation, stood quietly in the back. As the music began, David took Fatima's arm. Ready, sister? He asked. Ready, brother, she replied. Hassan waited at the altar, looking at her the way his father had once looked at her mother, with pure, endless love. Sarah scattered rose petals, beaming with joy, and somewhere Fatima thought her mother was watching, finally at peace. They said their vows surrounded by roses and love. Two families became one, not through arrangements or business, but through choice, through forgiveness, through love. At the reception, David raised his glass for a toast. To love in all its forms, he said. To family, the one we're born with, and the one we choose. To truth that sets us free, and to my amazing sister and brother, who showed me that love is stronger than any secret. Later, as they danced under the stars, Hassan held Fatima close. Happy? He asked. She looked around at their family. Sarah dancing with David, Mrs. Chen sharing stories with Karim, the roses blooming all around them. Perfect, she said. In his prison cell, Omar received the final envelope. As he read, his face fell. His last weapon, the truth about David, hadn't destroyed them. Instead, it had made them stronger. And in the garden where it all began, where love had bloomed and died and bloomed again, a family danced together under the stars. Not because of blood or birth or business arrangements, but because love, real love, chosen love, had triumphed in the end. Sarah's latest drawing hung in the bridal room, a family portrait showing all of them together, surrounded by roses, with a bright sun shining overhead. At the bottom she'd written in careful letters, "Love makes a family," and in the end, that was the greatest truth of all.